Hi guys, we're going to go through how to add fractions when our denominators are not the same number. So first off, let's always remember our steps. Our first step is to check our denominator. Remember, denominator means the bottom number of a fraction. It's how many pieces our whole has been cut into. So we need to check our denominator. If it's not the same, we're going to use our skip counting to find a common denominator that is the same. So let's look at our example today. We're going to do 2/3 plus 3/4. So if I look at the denominators here, my 3 and my 4, I see that they are not the same number. So I have to go through and use our skip counting strategy to make them the same. They have to match. So skip counting, I'm going to start with my denominator, which is a 3 at the top here, which means I'm going to count by threes. 3, 6, 9, 12. And I'm only going to go out about 3 more numbers until I can see if I can find a match. So now let's look at the denominator of my second fraction, 4. If you know your multiplication facts, you know that you can use 4 as a factor to get up to 12. So let's skip count and see. 4, 8, and 12. And there it is. We have a 12 that we can match. So now I'm going to keep skip counting, but I'm going to do my numerators. I always do my denominators first because that's the number I'm trying to match, because we are checking our denominators. So now I'm going to use my numerator, my top number, and count by that. It's a 2, so I'm going to count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. And for my bottom fraction, the numerator, top number numerator, is a 3. So I'm going to count by 3s. 3, 6, 9. So for my first step, I'm looking to check my denominator. Did I find a match? Did I find 2 equivalent fractions that the denominator matches? I did. I have 8/12 and 9/12. And remember, these are all equivalent fraction. It's the same amount, I just chopped it into different size pieces. So now my problem becomes 8/12 plus 9/12. Again, it's the same amount, I just chopped it into different size pieces. What pieces did we chop each whole into? 12, that's right. So we keep our denominator the same. In our second step here, we either add or subtract, depending on what the problem is telling us to do. And here it's telling us to add. But remember what we just said, we add or subtract the numerators. We just did all of that work to find matching denominators, so we want to keep the denominator the same. 12, 12, it's still cut into 12 pieces. So then I go through and I add or subtract my numerators. Here it's 8 plus 9. I have 8 slices of pizza, and here I have 9 slices of pizza. If I put those slices together, I would end up with 17 slices of pizza. So you might think that's your answer, but we have a third step here. Our third step is to simplify our answer. We can do that 2 ways. First way, we can use the greatest common factor, which really just means the biggest factor they have in common. And we would divide by that number. The other way that I can simplify is if it's an improper fraction, which means I would have to regroup a whole because my numerator is too big. So let's look at this one. I could divide it using a greatest common factor, but I know that 17 is a prime number. It's not going to have a factor in common with 12. So let me look at how to regroup using a whole. What this means is if I had a pizza that's 12 slices long, so I'm going to cut this into 12 pieces. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm going to shade in 17 of them, which would be all 12 of these Plus, I have some leftovers, don't I? So I need another pizza, also cut into 12 slices, to keep on going with the rest. So this is 12, meaning one whole, but I have to keep going to 17. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. That ended up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra slices out of my 12. So I have 1 and 5/12 of a pizza as my final simplified answer. Another way to think about that is if I look at my 17/12 again, I pull out one whole. If I pull out one whole, that's 12/12 here, because 12/12 is one whole. And if I have 17/12, I pull out 12/12. That becomes my 1. And then what's left over from 17 minus 12? 5/12. So those are your steps for adding and subtracting fractions. Subtraction would be the same way. You would just, instead of putting your numerators together, you would subtract them. But the biggest thing to remember is always thinking about simplifying at the very end to find your final answer. Thanks for watching, guys.